περιπλανωμένος, δυστυχισμένος, μακριά απ' της μάνας μου την αγκαλιά.
My name, do I say my name? Well, when I first moved to Athens, I lived in Victoria, Xarchia, Omonia, which at the time was the urban epicenter of all humanitarian aid for refugees. This was in 2016.
What brought you to those neighborhoods?
Just my house, the place that I was living.
Okay.
You know, it just happened to be there. It was cheap rent, great place. It was essentially a ghetto, you know, a ghetto for refugees. I started volunteering in Victoria Square with pregnant and breastfeeding mothers. There were so many young women who were new to motherhood and who were kind of ripped apart from their families, and it's a particularly vulnerable time in any woman's life to be a mother and navigate motherhood, let alone do it alone. Before I moved to Greece, I was a nanny for infants. I was raising infants, and so I had that expertise, and so I thought I would offer it because it was in my neighborhood. And then I never really stopped working with the crisis until I left. I then went to Skaramangas Camp, which is the biggest camp in mainland Greece for refugees. And it was there that I started as a choir volunteer. I mean, karaoke, I'm qualified. And then I actually started the first refugee girls soccer team, which was a controversial but groundbreaking itself.
What was controversial about that?
Because in a lot of these cultures, it's illegal for women to play soccer. Girls don't play football. And so our tagline was, girls play football. And so, you know, it united the girls. They wanted to have an Iraqi team, a Syrian team, an Afghani team. And I was like, like we're going to do one team. There was such a diversity inside the camp. There were still people who had never seen anyone that wasn't a Kurd before, or had never seen someone that wasn't Afghani before. And they looked very different. And, you know, one of the things that soccer generally does is that it is a uniting sport. You can play it anywhere in the world with anything. All you need is a ball. It's kind of like a common language and a way to bond. In the beginning, it was the boys didn't want the girls to be able to play, and then in the middle of the program, the boys asked for a match against the girls. So without trying explicitly to be a feminist project, it was one. Girls play football for boys and girls. It wasn't just liberating girls and empowering girls. It was allowing the men to become allies with this. And then, you know, so that was very beautiful for us.
In general, it seems like people can more readily accept that the refugees that came before did not come with evil intent, and this perception that everyone coming now is coming with violent intent. You know what I mean? And the videos coming out and getting proliferated are helping to fuel that from a variety of sources.
Right.
Most Facebook.
Right. That's the thing for me too, is that I'm disappointed at how many people are not investigating the facts, not investigating the sources of where is this information coming from, and trying to be more critical about why. Because you have to ask yourself, why is it only young men that are at the border at the moment, whereas before in Idomeni there were families, kids, you know, pregnant women, men, and that made it so much more devastating, right? But at the border, at the Turkish border, you're only seeing young men, and this is a strategy, and this was designed that way to try to incite a specific reaction from the Greeks, which is working. And this is a very intelligent strategy. I mean, the fatigue on their faces. I mean, they're not armed. They're throwing rocks through barbed wire fences at Greek riot police who are in full gear.
Did you see the source saying that they were throwing tear gas back?
It's a good instigator, and it's a good little snapshot to show, look at, you know, they're coming in with violence, an unsustainable violence, okay? It's an unsustainable thing. It's a reaction to, I mean, being thrown in a bus, not knowing where you're going, ending up at the border, not knowing whether or not it's legal, not knowing, you know, if there was a bigger agreement on a bigger level that's allowing this to be legal, and accepting this, and then you end up there and then you're treated like an animal, right? For the most part, I mean, refugee management has been on Greek shoulders for the past 4 or 5 years. And I mean, it's sad that the Greek people are being picked on right, for not being hospitable anymore. Okay, I get it. But everybody wants Turkey to be held accountable, and they should be held accountable for what they're doing because it's sick, you know. But it's not the refugees' fault. They did not bust themselves to the border. They did not develop tear gas or whatever. You know, you have to. And I'm going to credit Turkey for knowing that Greece is susceptible to sensationalism, and that's an intelligent evil. And I would just have assumed that people would be a lot more critical about the way they consume media than the way they analyze it and then spit it back out as, you know, hate or whatever it is. I'm disappointed in that consumption. I was far from my homeland also. I was far from my family. They were far from their families and their homelands. And so there's also this like shared sentiment, at least with me and the friends that I made there, of like this xenophobia, this pain of being ripped apart from what your roots are. Granted, mine was voluntary, you know, but it still was never belittled. And I wouldn't, you know, cry about missing Chicago ever. But you know, it was quite nice to be so intimately integrated into this community. Somebody would just like start singing, and someone else would go bring a drum and an instrument, and they would just become this very musical expression of pain that even if you don't speak the same language, you understand and you feel in that moment.
Yeah.
It was just so humanizing.
You witnessed the birth of a new wave of Rebetika.
Yes, Syrian Rebetika, Iraqi Rebetika, Skaramangas, you know.
That'll be an album one day.
Yes, it really could be actually. Honestly, there are enough recordings like around that people have taken. Probably could become an album.
That would be great.
Yeah.
يابا يابا والمنستر يابا اعطيها مول مول مول
لبنى يا بدي استار وانا اشرب ما نستار معايا كابتن حسين لا 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 ما بيستار يا